Good afternoon, peoples. I'm just going to give it a couple of minutes just to let a couple of other people jump on. But welcome.
Hi.
Streaming seems to be working as well, which is always good. So yeah, we are live on Facebook and LinkedIn, according to my other screen. And
Good
yeah,
we
afternoon, peoples. I'm
Hello.
just going to give it a couple of minutes
And then
just
I will
to
remind
let a
myself
couple of
to
other.
mute that.
Otherwise, you'll hear me twice. Gotta love technology. But while you are here, feel free to pop in the chat or the comments box where you're joining from, and one word to describe how your week's been so far. So just one word to describe your week so far. I will get the chat open over there so I can see it. There we go. Perfect. For me, so far this week, busy. We're busy in a good way, so I like busy. Surprising. Ooh. Always feel free to elaborate on things like that. Definitely, I like that. Surprising is a good word. Any more for any more? Let's have a look. Long, and it's only Wednesday. I did have to check. But it's hump day. That means it's got less of the week to go. Complicated, hopefully in a good way. Especially with all the writing that's going on over there.
Oh, yes. Complicated is good.
Definitely. Awesome. Well, let's kick this off because I am very aware of people's time. I'm just going to drop in the Zoom link into LinkedIn and YouTube so people can come across and join us in the best place. And we will take a look. So, welcome to Balance Without Burnout. Any of you who have done any live sessions with me before will know that there is no script. There is a rough guide of where it might go, but I prefer to go kind of seat of your pants, see what comes out, because that's what's needed in that moment. So yeah, this is me. It's clicking on the buttons would work. So this is me. This picture on the right is my new favorite photo of me. It was taken at my first official live speaking on a stage event, which happened 2 weeks ago now. And I absolutely loved it. And yes, my talk consisted around a few words on a card. There was no structure. It was brilliant. It was so good. But yeah, I'm Jay, which I found out the other day. If you put the little hyphen on and pronounce it Jaiye, it means to live a good life, to be in the moment.
Wow.
So I will take that because I thought I
Yes.
made it up. Um, but yeah, I am a productivity coach, also help people with mindset, goal setting, and it's just about helping people to rethink their success without adding the stress. To understand that time can't be managed, which I'll go through slightly later on. You can't manage time, it is what it is. And it's what you do with your time that makes the difference.
Hmm.
And the reason I moved into this is because I spent most of my life feeling like I didn't want to work for other people, hating the fact you had to ask permission to take time off or be ill or look after your small child when they're ill. Um, and the more I looked into it, a lot of really annoying conditioning that's all been passed down through generations across our country and across most of the world that says if you're not working and pushing and hustling and stressing and burning out, then you're not doing enough.
Hmm.
And that's wrong. So I am now working with people to shift that mindset where having a rest day is actually more beneficial to you than having a full on week and no time to relax. And where that came from was I qualified as a teacher. And I found out very quickly that the word free time doesn't exist when you're a teacher because there's always more work than you have time in the day to do. So yeah, now I help people move away from that by learning different techniques and tips and tricks to use their time more effectively because you can't manage it. You just have to use it more effectively. So, what are we looking at today? So, basically, within these headings, we're looking at three main things. Why traditional productivity doesn't work, what it is, what it isn't, why it doesn't work, the mindset behind real productivity, how you actually get more done in less time without completely burning yourself out, and a few practical tools for balance and focus. So let's take a look. First up, we have the productivity trap. And it's basically why working harder isn't actually the answer, because that's what we're told. You just need to work harder. If you slow down, you'll fall behind. You just need to keep slogging and saying yes and adding more to your plate. We live in a world that glorifies busyness, but busy isn't the same as productive. So we all fall into the trap of multitasking, endless to-do lists that every time you tick something off, something else pops up. Checking your emails 20 times a day, including outside of your dedicated working hours. And if you don't, and you miss something that was sent at 9 o'clock last night, and you go into the office not prepared, well, apparently that's your fault. No, it's really not. It's really not your fault. And there have been some recent studies that have shown that multitasking actually reduces productivity by up to 40%. If you think about like a little a battery, say, if you think of yourself as a battery, if you are spread across 6 or 7 different things, that full energy is divided among 6 or 7 different things. So each of those 6 or 7 things does not get done to the best of your ability, especially when our battery is already running low. And then you try and spread it even further, and it's just there's no point. So, but then we get in trouble because we're not looking busy, because we're kind of sat really bummed out and really like, oh, I can't do anymore. And then the boss asks for something else and you're like, no, I can't. And they're like, yeah, but you have to. Like, but I physically can't, but you have to. And then we go, okay, I must be able to work this out. I will pull another arm out of my rib cage or something just to get something done because it needs. And that's wrong. But it's what we've all been taught is right. And that's what I want to kind of help people to realize, that saying no is okay. Because if you think about it like a glass of water, so you've got a glass, it's a bit full. This is your energy. If you give some to somebody else, you've only got this much left. If you keep giving it, I'm not going to drink the whole glass because, yeah, that might be embarrassing. But if you keep drinking and drinking and drinking and draining and draining and draining and don't ever refill, eventually you will end up with an empty glass where you can't give any more, where you're burnt out, you're stressed, and you just sleep because your body can't physically do anything else. But if you top it up, and you'd say no to some things and you give yourself the time and the space to recharge you, then you can carry on giving to everyone else. But if you don't, and you're constantly giving and never giving yourself the time and the space, eventually there is nothing left to give. And I found this out the hard way. I think it was just after COVID. So 22-ish, 2022. I was working in a school and I was giving and I was giving and I was giving, and they were always asking for more and more and more and more. And eventually I snapped. I broke. There was nothing more I could physically do for them. And then they put me on a performance review. So I got the union involved and I got put on gardening leave. And I was one of the lucky ones because I was put on gardening leave. I was taken out of that situation. But for a couple of weeks after, all I could think about while sitting at home or going to the gym or going out and walking and just trying to get back to finding who I am, all I could think about was that I'd let the kids down. But at the end of that second week, I was out and about walking somewhere. I think I was delivering the Plymouth free paper because it was something to do. It was like, yay, 50 quid to delivering 1,000 papers. Yeah, don't, no. But it was something to do. It got me out of the house. It was fresh air. It was exercise. I actually saw one of the kids that was in my class. And I thought we had a really good relationship, but he didn't even recognize me. And it was that moment that I suddenly realized I can push and I can push and I can push and I can push and I can give myself or give of myself everything. But when I break, I can be replaced. And somebody else will just step in to that role. And they might do it better, they might do it worse, they might last longer, they might not. But I am replaceable in that place of work. But at home, for my daughter, I am not replaceable. And for me in my life and in my head, because I'm the only one that lives up here 24/7, which is probably good for the rest of the world, there's only me. If I break, I'm broke, I'm done. There's no one that can replace me for the people around me that are the closest to me. And that was the big shift to sharing this information out. I do it a lot with teachers, especially like stop giving, stop pushing, stop burning yourself out and destroying your own mental and physical well-being for somebody else who, when you are then done and you physically can't give any more, they just replace you. And it's hard and it's horrible. But when we start realizing it, will be when things start changing for everybody. So being this constant busyness rather than doing things that actually move the needle, shall we say, it affects our brain as well. So you've got so it can cause like decision fatigue. You know, when you've had a really long day and you get home and you're like, what am I going to have for tea? That decision feels like the absolute last straw. I'm going to have a hissy fit because I don't know. Because you can't decide, because you've been making decisions all day. That's decision fatigue. And it comes from being constantly busy, constantly making decisions all day. It raises your stress hormones, which then impact on your creativity. And humans are creative beings. We have the most amazing brains, our most amazing minds. But if we're stressed and we're busy and we're tired and we're just bleh, you can't create. And it's the creating that gives us that little bit extra. And loads of people are saying, oh, I'm not creative. But they mean it in the fact of, I can't paint like Van Gogh, or I can't write like Philip Pullman, or that's one version of it. But we're all creative. If you think about it, what you choose to wear in the morning, that's creativity. How you choose to do your hair or makeup or anything else, how you set your house up, that's all creative. It's just the imagination side of our lives. So when we fall into this productivity trap of, I just need to work harder, if I slow down, I'll fall behind, it's like running on a low battery. So if you think about your phone running on 1% battery all day, I know my phone, anything less than 5%, the camera won't work, which is really frustrating because that's usually when I want to take a picture of something that I've just randomly seen. But it doesn't work as effectively when you're not you. And when you're not you, you can't give to the rest of the world. So I want you to think about this question. What's one habit that you know keeps you busy but not productive? Obviously, the really, really big obvious ones is doom scrolling on social media or binge watching on Netflix or things in the evening, because you are spending sometimes hours, and there is no judgment here, I'm guilty of it just as much as anybody else, doing effectively nothing because you're seeking a dopamine hit, which is what the phone, social media, what TV does for us. It gives us that little hint of dopamine without us doing very much. So feel free to share these in the chat or in the comments or anything like that. Don't have to. It's entirely up to you. But habit that you know keeps you busy but not productive. Something that eats up your time that doesn't actually get you to where you want to go. So it could be constantly saying yes to things that really are not going to get you anywhere. That's a good one. Making and updating lists, but not always progressing on what's on there. You can have a list, like 16 A4 pages long. But if you're not ticking anything off it, it's just a list. And I will mention my version of lists later on because I like my lists because you get to do them. You don't have to do them. And there's always a little reward thing. We'll go into that later. But yeah, it's a perfect example. You are doing something, procrastinating. It's a good word, isn't it? When you should be doing something that is more helpful. So checking messages from people outside of working hours because of a sense of obligation. Yes, you're in your downtime outside of work hours, but you feel obligated to check the messages, which 9 times out of 10, if it's an out of hours message, it's going to cause you to get a little bit riled up because you can't actually do anything about it until you go into work the next day because the systems are at work. Which is why a lot of teachers don't check messages in the evenings because they can't log on to the systems outside of school if it's like a safeguarding thing or anything like that. But if constantly working harder isn't the solution, as I've said, what is? So if just pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing isn't the answer, what is? And I've summed it up in this. Being productive for your own good means working with your mind, not against it. And what we're going to cover over the next couple of slides is that actually we all have our own natural rhythms. Some of us are early birds. Some of us are night owls. Some of us are permanently exhausted pigeons all through the day, but that's because we're not quite working at our best. So you probably know from yourself that first thing in the morning, you're really productive, you're really on it, you're really awake. And in the afternoon, you want to go and have a nap. And then you wake up again in the evening. That's what I do. Other people cannot cope in the morning. But come 2 o'clock, between 2 and say 6 o'clock, they are absolutely on fire. They're really creative. Everything's going. They're doing all the work. Other people, it needs to be like 3 o'clock in the morning because obviously they live in a different time zone. But that's what works for them. And if you can work out what your rhythms are, when the best time of day is to do the work that you need to do, then that's when you get your most productive work done. So you can plan your day around it. So if you know you're really productive first thing in the morning, you can plan your busy work, your productive work, the stuff that will move the needle of the things that you want to do in life for that time of the day. If you know you work better in the afternoon, you could spend the morning doing things that don't really require you to think very much, such as responding to emails or data entry, depending on what your job role is or something like that. Something that doesn't require you to think very much. You do in the time of day when your energy is the lowest. And then you leave the really important stuff, the planning, the prepping, the actually delivering important meetings and things to the time of day when you are on fire. Okay? Which does bring me to the memory that I was supposed to click record on Zoom, but I didn't. So all the people on Zoom, I will send you the link to the YouTube instead, because luckily YouTube records it as well. I'm not very good at remembering how to actually press record. But anyway, that moves us nicely into the mindset shift. And I know mindset is one of those words where people are either like, no, don't talk so woo-woo to me. And others are like, yes, it's the underpinning to everything. But if you think of your mindset as the way you think, then actually it's the most important thing that we've got. And I've broken it down into 3 sections. So you've got your self-talk, basically the voice that you hear. No one else hears it. It's in your head. It could be you talking to yourself. It could be all the little things going on in your head talking to you. It's those little voices that pop up. Sometimes they're negative. Sometimes they're positive. But what I want you to think about your self-talk is, would you speak like that to your friends? So how it speaks to you, would you say that out loud to your friends? Because I know for me, sometimes I will forget something, like clicking record on Zoom, and my little self-talk could go, you're an idiot. How can you not remember to do that? And completely like beat you up. And then you have this little mental argument in your head where you're trying to justify to yourself that you're not an idiot, but then half of it's saying you, and then it's just tit for tat, isn't it? And we've all got these things in our heads called saboteurs. It comes from a program called Positive Intelligence by Shazad Shamin, the PQ approach, or positive intelligence. And he says that you have in your mind saboteurs and sage. And your saboteurs are things like all of us have got a judge. So we are human, we judge. You judge other people's hair, you judge other people's driving, you judge the decisions of the council when the new building pops up in the middle of town that's completely different to everything else. You're like, why the hell did they do that? We judge. We're all guilty of it. It's just who we are sometimes. But you've also got 9 others, such as perfectionists. Everything has to be perfect in its place. You've got controllers. I need to be in control of all of this. You've got the hyperachievers. Those are the ones with all the numbers and all the letters running off the end of the business card because they don't feel worthy unless they are achieving something. You've got the people pleasers, where it doesn't matter what they need to make sure everyone around them is happy, usually at their own expense. You've got the hyper rationals. Think Spock. No emotion. They are just literally, this is what needs to be done. I don't care what anybody thinks. I have no emotion. And across all of these saboteurs, you've got a combination. And there's a little quiz you can do on the PQ website, on Positive Intelligent website, that will give you a breakdown of what your saboteurs are, or your highest ones, and how to help with them. But alongside those, you've also got your sage. So if you think of the saboteurs like a guard dog, they're constantly trying to keep you safe. They're attacking the world so that you're safe. And then your sage is like the wise old owl that sits in the tree and gives you good advice. And you activate your sage by having good mental fitness. Okay, so I'll skip beliefs for a second and go on to mental fitness. But you can do little things that basically ground you in the moment. So when you feel your saboteurs rising, and you feel yourself, when your hackles go up a little bit, somebody's annoyed you, or something's happened, or you feel really nervous about something's all the what ifs, and you're just like, oh, okay. You can do a PQ rep, which it can be as simple as literally rubbing 2 fingers so gently together that you can feel the ridges of your fingertips, of your fingerprints. And while doing that, and you're focusing on that, noticing around you things that you can see. So it's well known and it's been well documented that taking a deep breath really helps, but so does noticing where you are. So sometimes we forget to breathe because we do it automatically. So if you're forgetting to breathe, think about where you are. So I can see my laptop. I can see a planner on the wall. I can see my glass, my phone, a keyboard. And I'm grounding myself in the moment. You can do it with things you can hear as well. So you can take a nice deep breath and then just listen for things that you can hear. And obviously the things that will come up first are the things that are like right here. So it could be you're sat next to a road, you can hear cars, or you could hear birds. And then when you stretch your hearing out, what's the furthest away sound you can hear? For me here, it's usually the A38 because it's just on the edge of the hearing. So it grounds you in the moment. But breathing always is one of the best ways to it turns your saboteurs off. It almost gives them a little like, oh, hang on a minute, which then gives your sage chance to think. Why might they be doing that? What can I do about it? Who could I talk to solve this? Or ultimately, the biggest question I like to answer is, can I do anything about this? Is it in my control? If no, I'm just not going to think about it, to be honest. And there's only actually 2 things you can control in life. You've got the things you think and the things you do. So something might be going on around you that is absolutely just like, it's so annoying, it's so frustrating, it's like, but you can't do anything about it because it's somebody else's behavior, say, or somebody else's action. They've done something that is winding you up. But it's your choice to get wound up or not. Because I can't control somebody else's behavior, I can only control how I respond to it or react. And 9 times out of 10, most of us will react because the guard dog gets on guard. They've done something, they've upset me, they've badmouthed me, they've done whatever, they've cut me up in traffic. So your guard dog just barks at them and you react. But if you use the example of someone cutting you up in traffic, you're reacting, you're getting really angry. They are probably completely oblivious. They haven't even noticed. They're just trying to get to where they're going. So they haven't even noticed that they've cut you up or caused you a problem. So who's suffering? The person causing all the shouty and the honking on the horns. That person might just be trying to get to work. They might be trying to get to hospital to see a loved one who's been in an accident. They have absolutely no care about what they've done to you. But if you get angry about it, that's your choice. So you can choose, instead of reacting, or when you notice you're reacting and you notice you're feeling grr, take a deep breath, preferably through the nose and then out through the mouth, and blow out like you're blowing through a straw. So it's a really long, slow exhale, which creates a bit of pressure, which completely disengages the guard dog. And then you can think about it. Like, well, can I do anything about that person cutting me up? I could crash into the back of them. But what's that going to solve? No, well, I can't. Well, maybe they're in a hurry. Maybe they're really stressed. Maybe they're friends. They've got a loved one in hospital or something like that. So do I really need to let it get to me? No. Okay. Well, let's move on with the day then. Just a little snap yourself out of it to think why or what or how can you do something about it is enough to bring you back into you. And when you can come back into you, the world is a little bit happier place. And that's where I see mindset fitting in our worlds. Everything we see, everything we do is all comes from our mindset. Right? If you wake up on the wrong side of the bed in the morning, you will probably stub your toe, spill your coffee down your shirt, toothpaste on your sleeve or down the side of your face. Every single traffic light turns red. But is that because the world is out to get you that day? Or is that because you're expecting the world to be out to get you because you've woken up on the wrong side of the bed? I had this conversation with my daughter this morning because she woke up in full demon mode. Don't know why. Bad dream, maybe, late night, who knows? Full demon mode. But I said to her in the car, if you go into school feeling like this and feeling negative, and you interact with all your friends, and you're grr, how do you think they're going to react to you? And she went, well, they'll probably shout at me or move away. And I said, exactly. But is that their fault or is that you? Well, they should know. They shouldn't do anything because you're giving out the negativity to them and they're going to mirror it back. So for you to have a better day, what could you do right now? And she sat and she thought about it. And she said, well, I could take a deep breath and see if I feel better. Yeah. Do you know why you're in a mood? She went, no. It's like, so you have a choice now, don't you? It's your mind, it's your life, it's your day. You can choose now to sit in that anger and have a really crap day, or you can choose to just put a smile on your face because the natural act of actually just lifting your corners of your mouth up makes you feel better. It's just a thing that we do. That's why you'll see sometimes in really angry meetings, somebody will be sitting in the corner like this because they're just trying to feel better. It really works. And I said to you, you've got that choice. Your day is now going to go in the direction that you choose. You can choose to be angry and everyone's going to move away from you, or you can choose to cheer yourself up. She skipped into school because that's the brilliant thing about small children. She's 10, but you can switch them in a different, really, really quickly. just by helping them to talk through it. That situation maybe 3 years ago, I would have probably just been, she would have gone, rah, and I would have gone, rah, and then both of us would spend the whole day going, rah, and have a really crap day and be really exhausted later. But we've learned a few things that mean, well, actually, I don't know why I'm in a mood. So until I know why I'm in a mood, I'm going to choose not to be. And that comes through PQ, through the little reps, just taking the deep breath, grounding yourself where you are, and just choosing something else. I touched over beliefs a minute ago, but beliefs in a mindset kind of thing is like our moral system, the ideas and things that have come down through families. And the best way of explaining it is, I heard a story once about this person who they explained it like a button on a shirt. So if you were brought up in a community where buttons were seen as bad, so nobody had any buttons on their shirts or their trousers or anything else, they had different fastenings or no fastenings whatsoever, it's just a pull over your head type shirt, they had no buttons. So you grew up in a society where buttons were not a good thing. When you then move away from that society and go out into the world, are you going to be okay with buttons? Or are buttons going to be the worst thing on the planet? Because you don't know any different. So it's conditioning that comes down through families, through friends, through communities, through schools. Obviously, if you're in a religion, you'll pick up a lot of their beliefs and things, and they see the world from their point of view. Whereas you might see the world from a different point of view. If you grow up in a really poor area, who, like I know for me, living up, we were up in Yorkshire, all of the people who lived there were really angsty against rich people because they'd got this belief that rich people were evil because they didn't give their money to the poor people. But from the rich people's point of view, they earned their money. They weren't, it's the whole difference between being born with a silver spoon in your mouth and actually earning what you have. If they've earned their money, why should they be expected to give to somebody who has all the same skill set, has the same amount of time in the day, but is choosing to not go out and do something with it? So your belief systems and your belief in right and wrong basically underpin most of the decisions that you make in your life. So if you think money is the root of all evil, you will subconsciously do everything possible to not earn any money because it's evil and it will turn you into a bad person. You'll stay this level, you'll stay small, just enough to survive, but you won't take that leap because if you get money, you're then evil. It's going to turn you into a bad person. Money doesn't turn people bad. Bad people who get money get worse. The fact of having or not having money is a tool. It does what you tell it to. Okay? So to bring that little bit back full circle, mindset underpins everything. And there's a great little phrase that basically says, if you think you can, you're right. If you think you can't, you're right. Because if whatever you believe creates everything in your life. And if you are constantly someone who feels a bit angry, a bit stressed, if you have moments where you are just a reactive, your guard dog's on full alert at all times, then you need to build your mental fitness. Your mind is a muscle the same as your bodies are. So if you go out for a walk or you do weights or whatever and you work your body, you can work your mind in the same way. And that can be as simple as doing the little PQ rep that I mentioned, just rubbing 2 fingertips together. Really, really gentle. There is another one where you can run your whole hand really gentle down the other one. I don't overly like that one because I hate being tickled and it feels ticklish. So I choose this one. But you've also got things where you're literally just in any moment, in any day, noticing where you are, grounding where you are in that moment can be enough to just steady you and allow you to respond and not react. Because if something's happening around you that is completely out of your control, somebody else says something, somebody else does something, the weather. It's all out of our control. It's your choice whether you respond or react to it. And with a higher mental fitness, just simple things every now and then, training your mind to connect into the sage. Why am I doing this? What is the benefit of getting angry at this? Asking those questions, you can live a lot happier. And that moves me into the little bit on time. So I said at the beginning very briefly, you can't manage time. And this whole time management thing is not a thing, because time is a measurement. Same as a kilometer or a meter is a measurement of distance. A minute, a second, a day is a measurement of time. We can't sell it. We can't buy it. You can't steal it. You can't give it to somebody else. It passes regardless of what you're doing. Yes, sometimes it feels like it passes really slowly. Sometimes it flies, but that's because of what you're doing with it. So you don't manage time, you manage energy. So productivity isn't a time issue, it's an energy issue. And you've got 4 main areas of energy. So you've got your physical, so your actual physical self with your rest, your nutrition, your movement. So looking after your body. Like I said, I do some bits of teaching here and there, and you've got the healthy plate. You know, that thing where it says you have to have this much carbohydrate, this much protein, this much sugar, this much fat, and all the rest of it to be a healthy physical thing. If you think of your body like a machine needs oil and servicing and rest sometimes. Our bodies are the same. You need to feed it, you need to water it, you need to let it rest, and you need to move it. Because if you don't move it, it eventually gives up. Emotional energy is your stress, your self-talk, how grateful you are. It's all the mind bits that feed your emotions. And 9 times out of 10, whatever you're thinking will create your emotions. So if your thinking is negative, you will feel bad. If you're thinking positive and looking for the bright side, because there is always a bright side, because in any single thing, there is equal good and equal bad. You've just got to find it. If you're focusing on the bad, and there's loads of it, there's going to be some good. You just have to find it. But if you're focusing on that good, you feel good. And it's all connected. Your mental energy is your focus, your distractions. So by doing the PQ reps, by having a better mental fitness, you could stay focused for longer. And I'll go through in a minute some tips and tricks on how to maintain your focus for longer periods. And they won't be what you think they are, unless you've spoken to me before, and then you will. And then your spiritual energy. It's about your purpose and your meaning. So many of us go through life feeling like there's something missing. You know, when you speak to someone who, on the surface, they've got a great house, they've got a great relationship, they've got a brilliant job, they've got a beautiful family, but they're just miserable. And you're like, well, you should be grateful. Look at this amazing life you've got. But if it's not fulfilling them, then it's not the best life. It could be that they feel a pull to go and do a certain thing, but they feel stuck where they are. Or a lot of times with when people have children, they get depressed because they feel tied. Oh, I can't go and do that because I've got to look after the child. And they get down in the dumps on it, or something happens at work where they want a promotion and they're just never given it, and you just feel stuck. That's why I started doing self-employed stuff, because I got bored of feeling stuck, being controlled by someone else. I wanted the opportunity to go and do what I wanted to do. I'll never forget the first day I bought my motorbike. I filled it up and I just went. I didn't know where I was going, but I just felt so free. I wasn't tired. I didn't have to wait for a bus or wait for someone else to drive me. I didn't have to go and wear myself out to get from A to B by walking. I could just go and be free. And it was brilliant. I got very lost and it was very fun. But I got my way back. Otherwise I wouldn't be here. So those 4 energy zones, you've got to really focus on little bits of each one. And at any one point, one of them will be lower than most of the others. And it's working out which one is the lowest for you and then building it up. If you are physically tired, like really tired all the time, it doesn't matter how much sleep you get, you just wake up in the morning and you just feel tired. It could be a nutrition thing. You might need to change the way you're eating. Or that physical draining could be linked to your mental and spiritual energy. Because if you, it's like Monday morning syndrome, isn't it? If you're in a job you absolutely hate, Monday morning and Sunday night are horrible. You just feel crap. You feel tired before the day's even started because you don't want to do it. And your body's like, well, I don't want to do it. So why are we going to do it? So I'm not going to give you the energy to do it. And then we spend all day drinking coffee. I don't, because me and caffeine just don't mix. This is a normal energy level for me, but I'm just bouncy. Other people can't survive without coffee because they haven't got that thing that drives them. So if you're feeling off at any one point in a day or a week or anything like that, focus on these 4 energy zones and try and work out which one is dragging the other 3 down. Because you can't be physically bouncy and high energy if you aren't living your purpose. If you feel stuck, it's really hard to get motivated and enthusiastic about life. If you've got to go and do something you really don't want to do, it's hard to build the motivation to go and do it. But sometimes those things have to be done. And it's at that point, the best thing I find is, well, why does it need to be done? Why do I have to go and do that thing that I really don't want to do? For me, it was teaching. And I do maybe 1 or 2 days of supply teaching a week. And sometimes I'll wake up in the morning and I'm like, I really don't want to go. Okay, so what's the benefits in going? Why do I have to go? Well, I've got bills to pay. Christmas is coming up. I want to save up for my camper van. So I focus on all of those things that I want and do the things I have to do to get there. Because getting to the things that you want is uncomfortable. Because if you really want it, the universe is going to say, well, let's test how much you want it, shall we? Here, have a load of crap come your way, and let's see if you can push through the crap, be uncomfortable to get to where you want to go. Okay, so let's have a quick look now at some simple systems that we can use that get us out of busy and into productive. So the first one is the daily top 3, and it's all about priorities. So we spoke about like a to-do list, and I find a to-do list really depressing because it feels like it's a whole list of things that I have to do, and some of them I don't want to do, like washing or washing up and things like that. I don't want to do those. They're the most demoralizing things on the planet, like ironing, which is why I don't iron. I buy clothes that don't need ironing because I hate ironing. I don't want to, so I don't do it. But if your to-do list feels really depressing, switch it around and call it a get done list, which turns it from I have to do this to I get to do this. And you've usually only got maybe 5 or 6 things on a get done list every day. And so you write your list, you prioritize it. Most important thing that is going to move you to success at the top. So for a salesperson, that's going to be making sales calls. So they do that first. And while they're doing it, it is being done. So it's doing. And when it's done, you get a 3rd column and you call it a got done. So you've got a list of get dones, a list of doings, and there's only ever 1 or 2 doings at a time because don't multitask. And then you've got your got dones. And at the end of the day, you take those got dones and you store them somewhere. And it could be as simple as putting them like a folded piece of paper or a paperclip in a jar. And when you get on a day like a Wednesday, when someone says this week has been really long, you look at your jar and you go, oh, well, actually, I've got done quite a lot this week or this month. And it gives you that little bit of a boost. So you write out your things you need to get done today or tomorrow. You prioritize them, and then you focus on one at a time. But your top 3 things that you have to do, that you are choosing to put on your list, are the things that really matter. So you've got to ask yourself, if you stop trying to do everything and start focusing on what really moves you forward, what are those things? And there will be busy bits in between. We've all got lives, we've all got houses to clean, we've got kids to look after, partners, and all the rest of it. There are bits in between where you're going to just have to do stuff that you don't want to do. But if you focus on what really moves you to where you want to go, what are those 3 things? Because if you get nothing else done today, apart from those 3 things, you've taken that step to the next level. It's that Lao Tzu in the Tao Te thingamabobby. Where's he gone? The Tao Te Ching. That's the one. It's on my bookshelf. He says, a journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. As long as you're taking a single step every day, you get to the end of the journey eventually. Okay? So always try and choose 3 priorities each day that align with your goal. And it's your goal that you want for your life. Doesn't matter if anyone else thinks it's stupid. It's your goal, it's your choice. And as part of that, you can look at time blocking or focus sprints. Time blocking is basically where on your calendar, you block out blocks of time that are specifically for a certain thing. So if you're writing a book, you could block out 3 hours in a morning where nothing is happening apart from writing that book. And in that 3-hour block, your notifications are off on your phone. There's a big sign on the door that says, do not disturb unless building is on fire or you are delivering tea or coffee. And like a little subheading that basically says, trust me, don't bother otherwise. Or something like that. And it works in companies as well. So if you have a joint calendar, you can block out times on there where you're doing a certain project. And everyone else in the team knows that during that time slot, you are busy, leave you alone. And obviously you respect other people's time as well. Doesn't work so well if you've got children because they don't stick to time blocking, full stop. You can barricade and lock the door and leave them a pile of snacks. They will still want your attention at some point. But within that time block, you can also do something called a Pomodoro, which is named after a tomato. It was done by an Italian student who decided to call it Pomodoro because the timer he used was shaped like a tomato. Mine is blue and has little ears because I couldn't find a tomato, so I made a little alien. So it's just an egg timer, basically. Or on a computer, you've got like on the clock, you can set focus times. And what a Pomodoro is it's a 25-minute block of time followed by 5 minutes, and then 25 minutes, then 5 minutes. Some people like to do 45 and 15. Some people will do 20 and 10. What's worked for you? But the traditional way is 25 minutes of work and then a 5-minute break. And it's all done on a timer. So you set the timer, you set go, you get on with your top 3 priorities, working on one at a time. When the timer goes off, you click save and you walk away. You move away. You go and do something else. It could be get a drink, have a snack. I like to sit for 5 minutes on the sewing machine because it gives me that little break. It's just something that gives your brain a break from what you're doing. And it sounds really counterintuitive because if you've got a really important project and you've got an hour to work on it, taking 2 5-minute breaks in that hour, oh, that's 10 minutes I could be working. No, that 10 minutes is vital because it gives your brain a chance to reset. We can only focus for however long. Some of us, it's 5 minutes. Some of us can focus for probably an hour, maybe 90 minutes at a push. But if you break that 90 minutes up into 3 Pomodoro sessions, where you have 3 5-minute breaks, your productivity goes through the roof. because you are giving yourself a break and then coming back to it. If you think back to any time where you've had to do a report or a presentation or something, you've got this really big project that you're working on and you just keep pushing, and eventually you feel resentment towards it because you're like, right, I'm going to have a break when I finish this. And this could be 10 minutes, it could be 3 hours. But if your brain knows it's getting a break in 25 minutes, it will focus a lot better. And then it knows it's getting a 5-minute break to go and do what it wants to do. Just reset, it's like a brain break that you have in schools and things like that, where you just have a little bit of a move around, you play with the dog, go for a walk, do some push-ups, I don't know, anything that you can just get done in 5 minutes, that you then come back to work after. And I find if I compare a 2-hour working session where I just sit here and work, I feel really drained after it. If I do a 2-hour session where I've done it as 4 Pomodoros, I can keep going all day. And it's actually quite a lot to then go and take a slightly longer break to have some lunch or something, because I'm like, I'm really on it. I'm really, really productive. So Pomodoros and time blockings are massively helpful. So you basically write your get dones, prioritize them, work on one at a time, and use a Pomodoro timer. And you will be surprised how much more you get done in that short space of time than if you just try and slog out some really stupid to-do list that's in no particular order. Because you will procrastinate. You will go, oh, the grass needs cutting, or, oh, this side needs wiping. Anything that we can do to avoid doing what we don't want to do. But if you focus on it and you just get going, it will get done a lot easier. The third one on this list is boundaries. There is such a thing as saying no without feeling guilty. If you physically can't do it, say no. Because it's going to be so much better for all involved if you say no, protect your own energy, then it's going to get done by somebody else or something else, or somebody's going to realize that actually this isn't doable. Whereas if you say yes and then stress yourself out and burn out and it doesn't get done anyway, they've then got a last minute problem to solve. Whereas if you just said no in the first place, they've got time to sort it out. And it's using language such as yes, but, or yes, I can do that, but it means I can't do this. Or yes, I can do that, but this is going to have to change. Or I need you to do this so that you can work better rather than feeling pressured over it. It's you can also schedule focus hours in your calendar where outside of those hours, you are not working. I don't know if you've seen, but I like the little emails that I get through sometimes that say, this message has been sent in my working hours. I do not expect you to reply to me in these hours if these are not your hours. So it could be that somebody sends an email at like 6 o'clock at night because that's their working time between 4 and 7 or whatever. But they're not expecting you to reply until your working hours. It works both ways. Like, you may send me an email outside of my working hours. Please don't get offended if I don't reply. These are my hours. I'll reply in this time. So it gives you that expectation, or not expectation, I suppose. And it's such things as like boundaries where you have digital boundaries. So no emails before 9 a.m. in the morning or after 7 o'clock. No sitting on the screen, on the phone, doom scrolling at 11 o'clock at night. Been there, done that. So have a think about if your boundaries need to be a bit stronger. And it might be that you've tried to say no and they've made you feel really crap about it and given you a proper guilt trip. That's on them. If you can't do it, say no. Or say, yes, I can, but. And be really open and honest. Like sometimes I'll get a phone call for a supply work at like 8:30, and it could be somewhere 40 minutes away. And I will say to them, I can, yes, but I'm not going to get there until. So they know that I'm going to be late. Or yes, I can do this role that's 2-hour drive away, but I need to leave at 2 to get back to pick my own daughter up. And giving that expectation and that boundary up front is so much easier than trying to do something that you know you can't do. Because then you let yourself down, you burn yourself out, and you let them down as well. The next one on here is Reflect and Reset Fridays. Could be a Friday, could be a Sunday, you could do it on a Monday. It's whatever day works for you, just to have a quick 10-minute review of your week. Where is your energy going? What energy, what part of your energy is low that week? What can you do next week to improve it? And then the last one here is habit stacking for a long-term change. Now, we are creatures of habit, and no amount of willpower is ever going to defeat habits. Anyone who's ever tried to stop doing something, willpower doesn't work. Okay? Yep, I can see the cigarette down there. Thank you. If you have ever tried to just stop something that you get a positive from, it's really hard, and willpower is never going to work. Motivation is rubbish. You cannot motivate yourself to do anything, but you can bribe yourself. We are basically big children, and we are capable of being bribed. And it might be that nobody else knows that you can be bribed, but you know how to bribe yourself. Like, if I've got this really big thing that you want to do, it could be like a tax return or something that you really don't want to do. The best way to get it done is to say that when it's done, you get to do whatever your big bribe thing is. It could be time on a sewing machine. It could be a nice meal out. It could be a treat from your favorite chocolate shop, whatever it is. Obviously, you then have to be really strict and don't just go and do the thing that you want to do anyway until it's done. Otherwise, it doesn't work. But there's such a thing called habit stacking, so if you've decided that in your life you want to start doing more exercise, you can stack that exercising on something you do already. So it could be that your morning routine is you get out of bed, you have your breakfast, you brush your teeth, you get dressed, whatever that sequence might be. If you want to start doing a quick yoga session, for example, it could, or a meditation, it could be that when you get to brushing your teeth, after you brush your teeth, you do 2 minutes of meditation or a 5-minute yoga session. And the brushing of the teeth is the trigger. If you want to start going for a run in the morning, when you go to bed in the evening, lie your running stuff out by the door, so that when you get up in the morning, you're not looking for your left shoe, because it will go missing, full stop. But if everything's there ready to go, it's easier to do. I started the habit of doing yoga every morning by lying out my yoga mat at night before I went to bed, and agreeing with myself that doing yoga in my pajamas is perfectly acceptable. It's my house. I'm in clothes. It doesn't matter what I'm dressed in. I'm not going out. If I wanted to go for a run, everything's ready to go and I just go out. And it's about setting up new habits in little bits. So if it is a run that you want to start doing, day one could be literally as simple as getting your shoes on and stepping outside the front door. The next day could be you walk down the road and back again. The next day could be you jog down the road and back again. The next day could be you walk around the block. You build it up slowly. So to create a new habit, you start with something that you can do in 2 minutes or less. That 2 minutes can include just getting the stuff ready. And eventually, over time, your subconscious mind will do it automatically. Because we are 95% controlled by automation. 95% of everything you do every day is done automatically. You brush your teeth without thinking about it. And if you want to test that theory, try and brush your teeth with the other hand. Because it's really hard. Because I brush my teeth with my right hand. It's automatic. I know exactly which way they're going. Done. I don't have to think about it. In fact, I usually zone out and start daydreaming about something else. If I try and do it with my left hand, one, I get covered in toothpaste. And two, it's practically impossible. because my right hand knows how to do it habitually. My left hasn't got a clue, but I'm still brushing my teeth. It's the same as if you notice which foot you put your shoe in, which shoe you put on first in the morning. Try and put the other shoe on first. You then spend a couple of hours feeling like you've forgotten something, but all you've done is swap over because it's habit. Okay, there is a brilliant book on it. Where's it gone? It's up there. All about habits and things called Psycho-Cybernetics, which tells you how your mind works and why all of this sort of works. It's by Maxwell Maltz. And then the other book is hidden behind my thing. Atomic Habits by James Clear. It breaks down how to create a new habit in the most simplest language you could possibly think of. And it looks like a long book, but it's really good. And habit stacking comes from that. Same as he also has such thing called a temptation bundling. If you want to, there's a brilliant example in there where this guy wanted to start exercising more, but loved watching TV of an evening. And this is an extreme example, but he basically set up a exercise bike in front of his TV that ran the TV. So it was attached to a dynamo. So if he stopped pedaling or slowed down, the TV turned off. Now, that's an extreme temptation bundling. But if, for example, you really want to sit and watch something on the TV, but you've got to do the ironing, do them at the same time. Or if you've got this really big report that has to be done, but you just want to sit and be creative, draw a picture or something like that, do something on a sewing machine, don't do the thing you want to do until you've done. So I will do sewing when I have done. Yeah. And there's a load of other things like tracking habits as well. So if you start doing a new habit that you want to do, like going for a run or doing meditation in the morning, every day you do it, tick it off. It's why Duolingo is so powerful, because you run up a streak. And if you get a streak of like 10 days, it's really hard to break it. Because you're like, but then I've got 10 days, I've got to get back up again. And it's just a little thing in our minds that it's weird. It's like human nature. But it basically, if you've got something and you're ticking it off, the more ticks you have, the harder it is to stop. Like my Duolingo, I think, is up to 1,250 days. I only do like literally 30 seconds on a maths thing every day. I've stopped doing the French that I was doing because I got bored of it. But I've got a streak of over 1,000. That's like 4 years, nearly 3 years. I'm not going to break it, but I know that I'm not interested in it at the moment. So I'm playing chess on it. I don't like chess, but it's a quick, easy 2-minute thing. But I don't want to break that streak. And it works with habits as well. If you start picking up a week where you've done 5 days of yoga every morning, you don't want to miss day 6. It's just little things that trick our minds into doing it automatically. And as soon as you're doing something automatically, it just gets done. Like the most successful people on the planet do not like doing the work that anybody else likes doing either. But they do it habitually because they've trained themselves to do it automatically. So if you've got something that is going to change your life that needs to be done consistently, turn it into a habit. Match it to something else. So if it's you want to be a bodybuilder, I don't know, really random, this is why I say it goes off the cuff because my brain just goes in different directions. If you want to be a bodybuilder, but it hurts to work out, well, it hurts to quit as well. So if you then make that training habitual, where after you've done brushed your teeth in the morning, you go and do whatever workout for the day, it becomes a habit and you don't even think about doing it. You just do it and it's just done. Okay. So wrapping it all up into a nice little bundle, then we were looking at the 3 things. So how traditional productivity advice causes burnout, because we're told to just be busy. and to just keep doing and just keep pushing doesn't work. We burn out. When you take a step back to assess where you are, bring your head above water, basically, because sometimes it feels like you're drowning. Taking that step back, that brief break, actually allows you to push further forward. It's like the old saying of 1 step back, 3 steps forward. I know it's supposed to be the other way around, but I twist it that way. 3 steps forward, 1 step, no. 1 step back, 3 steps forward. And that's why Pomodoro works, because you get that brief little 5-minute brain reset halfway through. Thank you for joining us, those people that have to jump off. They have a couple of other webinars to go to, which is awesome. But I will make sure the recording gets out to you as well. The second conclusion is that mindset, habits, and balance are the real keys to sustainable success, not just hard work. Working harder and doing things that aren't getting you to where you want to go, it's not success. Just because you look really busy is not success. Success is what you decide it is. Success could be time freedom. It could be financial freedom. It could be the job role, the title that you want. Okay, but your mindset, your habits, and the balance between your work and your life. So don't live to work, you work to live, is the real key to sustainable success. That's why you can see some people around the world. You can have some poor guy living on a desert island, the happiest person on the planet, because that's what he wants. Versus what loads of people see as success is the number of zeros on the end of your bank account. Well, if you're not money driven and you're this person that wants to live on this desert island with nobody around you, the amount of zeros in your bank account isn't success. It's like, what's the point? Success is what you think of it as you. And then we looked at some practical tools. So we have the time blocking, the prioritizing, Pomodoros, the PQs to help you stay grounded. Okay. Productivity isn't about speed or getting hundreds of things done. It's about clarity and getting the things done that matter. Your mindset will always drive your behavior. So if your mindset is rubbish because you're really negative and you just think about all the bad things and all the what ifs, your behavior is going to be down as well. You're going to drag, your shoulders will droop. You'll be curled up rather than walking tall. If you're thinking about all the possibilities in life, you are going to walk so much higher and so much more good comes to you. Because you attract, like behavior attracts like behavior. Okay. And again, energy and habits are the things that sustain results. Willpower and motivation ain't going to get you nowhere. But you get motivation by taking action. When you start that one little step, motivation comes automatically. Okay. So I want you to think about this little question. What would your life look like if your energy and focus worked for you instead of against you? Because so many of us feel like our mind's working against us, but it's actually because we're working against our mind. Our mind is showing us where we want to go, but we're choosing to do the opposite. So then it feels like you're at loggerheads with yourself. But if your energy and your focus worked for you, how much different would life be? And that's what I help people to work out. So I help the people that I work with, I help them to work out what it actually is they want to do, why they might feel stuck, and what's holding them back. And then once they know where they want to go, we look at tools and tips and tricks to do the things that need to be done. Because a lot of us, we know what we need to do, but we don't do it. And this gap in between, it can be really small or it can be massive. The knowing doing gap. You know what needs to be done, but you don't do it. So I help people to put the tools in place to do the do, which sounds really fun. Do the do. Okay. Obviously I do have a website where I send out a weekly email. So feel free to jump on there and sign up to it as well. And follow me across all my socials because I put out so much stuff, which is sometimes helpful, sometimes completely random, but usually has a point at least. But yeah, it's all happy. But now, as I put out in the information, I'm only gone 10 minutes over, so that's pretty good for me, to be fair. we've now got a little bit of Q&A. So if anyone on here live has any questions, please feel free to either put it in the chat or raise a hand if you want to come on and talk to us. If you are watching this as a recording and you have a question, just get in touch. If you do need to jump off, thank you for joining us. And if you do have any questions, just drop me a message across any of my socials or anything like that. Anywhere, I will respond. Might not be instant, but usually within 24 hours. But yeah, any questions that anybody has over challenges that you have between the working out the balance between work and life, and if you feel like you are literally working, and you live to work, then let's discuss to see if we can help anything out. Okay. But yeah, this is usually the part while people type that I waffle through just to fill the gap. And I'm very good at waffling.
So
Go on, Debs.
my waking time is about 4 hours a day. I was actually asleep, and then I saw that I had a message come in on LinkedIn saying I meant to be at this seminar, which is why I've turned up so late. And I've been sat here, and the reason I'm smoking is going to keep me awake.
Yeah.
But also for the flavour of the fact that so many people used to smoke, and it's quite nice for them to see someone smoking in public, makes a change. Anyway, I like
It's a
to be
new
diverse.
thing.
Yeah, and I'm keeping the cigarette industry going. Someone's employing them, they need a job. So I basically have about 4 hours uptime a day. And if it wasn't for Marie, you've met Marie, Jay, I think. Um, I'm actually doing some of the things you're saying, but other things, because it's like 4 hours uptime in a day with a brain that vaguely functions. I'm I'm doing the three things in the morning.
Mhm.
Everything else I can't get to. I mean, I was asleep already at midday, you know.
Yeah.
But what
But
I do, I do pre-warn people about this. I go down for a nap, and 5 hours later I'm awake. And I do all my best work between 11 p.m. and like 4 a.m. So I'm
yeah,
doing all my messaging and check this out and proof this at 3 a.m. So
yeah,
every time I meet someone who's got children, I say, please, whatever connection you've got me on, mute it at night,
yeah,
because that's when I'm doing my work and
yeah,
messaging everybody. So I do the three things in the morning. I got quite a few things done this morning, and Marie will then tell me what I've done because I've got no memory. That's also a bit of a hindrance. So she'll tell me what I've done when we finish because I say I've done nothing, and she'll go, "Oh, blip, 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 blip,"
yep,
which is quite good. Other things on the list, I wasn't quite sure I'd have to work on them, but I'm quite pleased that because you're very inspirational.
thank
So
you.
I'm quite pleased, even though I got here late, I do the three things and whatever the other thing was that I mentioned, which I can't remember now because I've got really, really good memory issues.
It's the messaging at other times of the day. But the thing
That was
is,
the one.
if you're getting your three most important things done at the time when you are best working at them, then that's enough. Like, I know
Yeah.
we've met face to face a few times at different networking events, and your coloring book that's coming out, and all the stuff you do with your CIC
Oh, oh my
is
God. Actually, that's an
is
example of
done.
something. That's an example of something. Sorry, my husband's just come in.
It's
Um,
okay.
on the previous Monday, is that the one? Oh, that's right. Previous Monday, 10 days before my own deadline, I sent the colouring book to be printed. And then
There
on
you go.
Monday, my printer phoned me and said, Debbie, there's an error on one of the pages. And I said, okay, what time do you need it by? And he says, well, I'm not going to do any more work on it today. So if I can
Yeah.
have it for 8:30. Now, a normal human being would go, "Shit, I've got 2 hours to do it in." Of course, I turned around to my printer guy and I went, "Oh, well, that's brilliant because I haven't had my afternoon sleep yet. And then I'll be up later and I'll get it to you before 8:30 when you turn up for work."
Yeah. But that's
So we
what works for
actually,
you.
I
Yeah. And
did
that's perfect.
52 pages in a month, colouring in pages that are meme style. There's no flower or mandala in sight.
No,
Jay's
I've seen
probably
them. There's
seen some
not.
of the pages. Yeah. Oh, excuse me, Claire, but I've done one where it's a picture of Mona Lisa like going, "Feck off." So it's for people who are chronically ill, and we're trying to fundraise for that. But
Yeah.
when I started doing it, I didn't think I'd get it done at all. Every day I was only doing one or two of these pages. And then one day I did 9. And I don't start till 11:30 at night
Yeah.
because creativity, you have to be in the zone for it. And if you can't create at that moment in time, you know you're going to waste 2 hours doing something
Yeah.
absolute, utter rubbish.
Or stare at the wall. Done
Yeah.
that.
Or
And
watch
that's the
true
thing.
crime.
That's the annoying thing about our world, because if it's just not flowing, and any writer will tell you when writer's block hits, it ain't getting written. Sorry, but
Mm.
no, it's just not happening. And it's in that moment being able to say, okay, this, I'm not being productive. This is just a waste of time for me to sit here and stare at the wall and force myself to do it. There's no
Yes.
point. So you
No.
just, at that point, the best thing you can do is walk away and do something else,
Just
because there are
distract your
other
brain.
things. Yeah, there are other things
Yeah.
that need to be done that could be done in that moment that then free up your mind to come back to the thing. Like, I've been going through a lot of legal stuff at the moment, and I will get an email and I'll be like, right, I'm not going to do that now because I need to do XYZ. XYZ ain't getting done until I've done that email because it's on my mind and I hyper focus. So, like, my
Yeah.
daughter's always telling me to go on the sewing bee or to go on Great British Bake Off or things like that. And I'm like, no, because when it's not working, I like the ability to go, fine, and walk away. You can't do that when
Yes.
you've got a time limit.
No.
So it's
But
never
when
going to work.
no.
It
But
could
it's
take,
always
I can
good
make
when
a
you
pair of
when you
trousers in 4 hours, but it might
yeah.
take me 3 or 4 days to do it.
But you're doing them in your 5-minute blocks, so it gets done.
Exactly. That's why my sewing machine is always set up. I think it's got some Christmassy thing on it at the moment, some plaques that I was making for the wall, just because I felt like it.
Cool.
But that's what works. And if that's
Yeah.
what works for you, doing it at early hours of the morning, that's what works for you. And if somebody else then takes the hump because their phone pinged because you sent them a message at 2 a.m., well, that's their problem for not putting it on Do Not Disturb.
I do warn them all
Exactly. You've
because
given them fair
nobody,
warning.
yet nobody with children can put their phone off. You just,
No.
or an elderly relative, or anybody with dementia, or just you just
But
you
there's a
can't
way that
sleep.
you can set it that if it's from that person, it will still get
Yeah,
through. Because I
yeah,
have a few favorites listed. So if my friend texts me at 11 o'clock because she's just finished, it will ping.
yeah. My husband can get through, and that's it. Marie can't even get through, but my husband can.
Yeah.
Oh, and my
But that's
meds
the thing is
alarms.
with productivity, it's all of the old traditional, this is how you be productive
Oh, it's
doesn't work.
awful.
It doesn't work. It just puts people under stress. It's like
Yeah,
when you've got a deadline and your brain goes la 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 instead of actually doing what it needs to do.
yeah.
Like I've got these ideas and I'm putting them in a book at the moment. If I had an editor, I would probably have a complete meltdown
I'm an
because
editor.
they would want it by this date. And I'm sorry, but if I'm not in the mood to write here, it ain't getting done.
No,
So like when I was at uni, if I had a deadline for an essay, in my head, I pulled that deadline 2 weeks forward
yeah,
so that I knew if something happened or I just couldn't do it, I
it's
still
done.
had that 2 week window.
Yeah,
I gave myself, but that's because I know how my mind works. And 9 times out of 10, that 2 week deadline would be done and it would be enough. But I gave myself the leeway because otherwise you just get stressed, you get burnt out, you can't give
Yeah,
your best to it, and you produce a load of word
yeah,
vomit instead of
yeah,
actually something useful. So yeah,
yeah,
it's about being productive in the way that works for you
yeah.
and
So
not
I
feeling
was
guilty for it.
quite pleased, even though I missed the first bit, but I'll still do this anyway, even though I don't know what the
I love doing
PQ
those.
means.
I do them wherever I am.
But I'm quite pleased because I thought, oh my God, I've missed the most important meeting I need to do, time management. Um, ironically,
Energy
uh,
management.
I'm all about the ironicness in life.
Yes, you are.
So I'm quite pleased that I am doing a couple of
Yeah,
things on your list already, and yeah, and then
and
I just use
a lot
Marie
of
as my
people are.
memory. Huh?
Hmm. A lot of people are already doing it, but they feel like it's not what they should be doing because it's not what the rest of the world says they should be doing.
Ah, well, I'm not
But
in with the
actually,
rest of the world now anyway,
yeah,
so
when you get
I'm
out of
already
that, just
yeah,
tell them to naff off because only
yeah,
I live in here. So what goes on in here is the best for me. I don't conform to what they like, which is why I'm
yeah,
not a full-time teacher because I would have so been fired several times by now and struck off and
absolutely,
all the rest of it. I can get away
yeah,
with stuff as a supply.
yes, you can, and you
Um,
can walk out and leave.
yeah, I've never done that yet. I've been
Okay,
close, but I refuse to be beaten by a load of teenagers. And I stand there at the front going, fine, we can play this game if you like, but that's a completely different story.
yes,
But
exactly,
yeah,
definitely, definitely.
but yeah, um, cool. Thank you so much for your
Claire,
question and
did
for
I
bringing it in.
over talking? Claire wanted to
No,
say anything because you've got 7 minutes left.
hey, if I run over, I run over. If there's questions and
No,
I can
not
help
you,
people, then I do.
Claire, because I've done all the
There,
talking. I turn
Debbie.
up late and then hog the room.
No,
It's
you're
No,
fine.
annoying.
Don't worry.
do you know what? I knew it was going to be fun when I saw the bananas.
Well,
Yeah.
that's the state I'm in at the moment. I've gone bananas.
No, I've loved it, and I'm so pleased. I do a lot of this already, but it's great to have that confirmation. It's the permission. It's the
Mm,
Yeah,
permission to do what works for you
yeah,
and
yeah.
works for you. I find my biggest problem is when other people have different systems that work for them,
Yeah.
and they make me try and fit their boxes, and I don't do boxes.
Yeah. I'm not a
no,
box. I don't
I'm not
fit
a
in your
I
box.
box.
don't do boxes.
No,
I'm like
I
my
like
no,
boss.
cardboard boxes. I'm part cat, but you're not putting me in a box.
Oh, cardboard
yeah,
boxes are great. You can make all
Oh
sorts
yeah.
out of those.
yeah.
But one of my bosses says to me, I don't mind how creative you are in the box as long as it's the right box. And I'm like, right,
You're like, I don't fit
okay.
a box.
I don't know what the right box is. But this has been really helpful, Jay, and I always knew you were amazing. But I'm like
Thank you.
gobsmacked. I'm watching you thinking, I had no idea. So thank you so much for this. I needed it. I blocked this out for myself.
You've got
Good.
confirmation now that you're
I
actually doing
have.
okay and you're doing it
I'm
right.
doing
And
okay.
yeah,
I'm
your
like my
bosses can
awful
go and live
habits
in their
work.
boxes.
Don't do boxes.
No,
But I can
Nope, we
choose the
don't do
box.
boxes.
no.
No. Well, you know me enough to know that I don't do boxes.
No, we don't do boxes. And the work you do does not require boxes either.
Well, no,
Are
because
you
all of the people I work with, they don't do boxes either.
Oh,
are
they are
you
the epitome of
creative?
not box.
Yeah, yes, I am very creative. Yes, I paint and I write.
Yeah, I think that's
And
that's
she
why we
writes.
just
Oh, right. She's showing off my books now. I need to give you
wow.
number three. I need to send that
You
to you.
do. I need to
I've
order
got
it.
some spares. I've got some spares downstairs. You can have them.
Um, can I just would you mind if I just drop in the link to my website? We're
Oh,
creating
of
an
course.
anthology and we need writers.
Oh my goodness.
We support people with all chronic illnesses, mental and physical,
Oh,
both
that's
aspects.
Yeah.
fantastic.
And
Yes, of
Brilliant
course.
CIC.
Debbie.
thank you. I'll just write it in because we're wanting writers to contribute. There's an anthology page on there,
Oh,
And I
and
will drop it over to the other live streams as
lovely.
well.
Thank you.
you
Thank
you'd
you.
you'd be handy Jay, as well, because basically, I don't know if you don't know anyone with chronic conditions who has to fill out a PIPS form every 3 or 4 years. It absolutely crucifies
Oh,
them. You can be
yeah.
suicidal halfway through the
Oh,
form or on page 2. So people's
yeah.
chronic illness stories don't get out there because, you know, we'll kill ourselves before the end of the story. And then you want 2 more edits. So it's not going to happen. So if you go on there, if you think that there's something you can write about, and we don't care what it is, whether it's one sentence, joke, picture, like a brilliant picture is a meme
Oh,
that's around
yeah.
and it's a
It may be a
circle.
painting. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a circle and it has a dot in it. And then outside it says somebody else.
Yeah.
And then an arrow pointing to the dot and it says what you know about them.
Oh, how
See, it's the
interesting.
most powerful visual. And
Yeah.
I've had to explain it to you rather than draw it.
No, but I
Um,
like that. Yeah.
yeah,
No,
so
I
actually
get
you
that.
were
I
saying
get
the thing
those.
you were saying the thing about your angry daughter. We use one that there's like a dog and it's really happy and it gets let into this room and it's got 10 mirrors
Mm.
and it's confronted by 10 happy dogs. So
Yeah.
it's having a whale of a time. Doesn't want to leave. The
No,
grumpy, badass, Rottweiler type Doberman who's
that
not
she
allowed
woke
to
up
be
as this
fun.
morning.
Yes. That goes into the room and it's confronted by 10 angry dogs.
Yeah. That's really interesting.
Just gets angrier. Yeah.
Because that's the one we use for people in wheelchairs. Like, people in wheelchairs don't like the way everybody else looks at them. And
Mm.
so what we say to them is, if you're a woman, because it will work for a man, but they don't tend to want to do it, is you put the brightest lipstick you have on and then you just keep driving and you smile,
This sounds so
Yeah.
familiar.
so I'm there with my bright pink lipstick going, nobody's
And
scared
she
of me,
does.
nobody's going, oh, which way do I go, will that disabled person run me over, or anything like that.
If you get in the way, you will.
Well, I do, and we do have lists, and if anyone gets put on our list, then they're done for, because me and Marie are quite strong and fat. We eat a
Oh
lot of
yeah.
cake.
And it's a
So,
motorized wheelchair as well.
oh yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, just some examples. But I wouldn't mind if both of you would take a look at our anthology
I would
page.
love to do that.
We were
Happy.
wanting it to come out this Christmas, and then we realised we couldn't get enough stories together in time because everybody's chronically ill. Hold on, my husband's going to work. Oh yeah,
No
you've got a
worries.
mask on. Oh,
She's great.
yes. Thank you. Could you put water in their
Awesome.
bowl? Thank you. Sorry. Yeah. So we've got a few stories. We've got Zen-like stuff that's like descriptions of
Mhm.
beautiful scenery, which I think, just takes them in. And then a writer that writes all historical war novels. I
Mm.
approached him and I said if he'd be able to do something on a soldier sat with PTSD.
Mm.
And it came back the week before last and made me ill for 2 days because he got it so right.
Oh, yeah.
My husband went, oh, is that what it's like in your head? And I went, yeah. And even Marie, is that what it's like in your head? I went, yeah. And then I had to take 48 hours off whilst my head did its thing.
Yeah. Because you've been confronted with it and you're like, well, actually, I live with,
Mm.
Yeah, and he wrote it amazing, which is why he's got thousands of reviews on his
Good.
paid books on Amazon. But people who are outside of it, if they can tell an aspect of it, like fatigue, people just don't believe what fatigue is when you've got a
No.
chronic condition. My one is super ramped up one of the reasons I'm in my wheelchair, Jay, is because my body will shut down as if it's got locked in syndrome and I can't even move my eyes.
Mm.
Wow.
So my eyes will stay shut. I'm coming around when my eyes eventually open, but I'm not coming around until I can start to move them. And then eventually I'll be able to blink.
Yeah.
And it freaks people out. I don't know why. I just look like
Can't
I'm
think.
dead. Anyway, that's all about the anthology, my book, which, constantly plugging all our books. Sorry.
Yes, no, definitely. I've put the link in both of the in the YouTube
Oh, yes, I've got it.
video
Yeah.
and on LinkedIn as well. So anybody
Thank
watching
you.
the replays or with us live still on either of those
Lovely.
has access to it, because it's brilliant work what you do. You're building awareness of a group of people who are no one's aware of because they refuse to look at them. It's like I was watching Doctor Who the other day, and it was the episode with the silence. When you can see them in front of you, you can describe them, you can talk to them, but when you look away, they're gone, as if you've never even seen them. And I think a chronic illness and the illnesses in the background, that's sort of what it's like, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's weird, and we in particular deal with the people who don't get a diagnosis and who the medical profession gaslight. Like, we have people 20 years undiagnosed, but there's definitely something wrong. We have people who are 45 years undiagnosed, but they're on 40 tablets a day, but there's definitely something wrong. And they turn around and say, it's all in your head. Marie's pain official consultant says to her, it's all in your head. And he's right, because the nerves that tell your body that you're in pain signal it to your head.
In your head.
But he is an a-hole on £160,000 a year, and we could tell him that.
Yeah.
Oh. Sorry, anyway,
Dog agrees.
I digress. But yeah, we
okay.
we represent the weird people.
We like weird people.
Yes.
Yeah.
We definitely fit with weird people.
Yeah. I mean,
Perfect.
who at 57 3/4 wears bunches? Not that you can see, because, you know.
You do.
57 3/4.
Well, you know, you can do it when you're 7, but you can't do it when you're in your 20s and 30s. But if I die when I'm 60, I should start doing the 3/4 now, you know.
Fair one.
59 3/4 on Christmas Day.
Ooh,
On Christmas Day.
Nice.
Yeah, I've worked it out since you said that.
Oh,
This is why I like doing webinars. They just go in such random directions. It's brilliant.
well, they do when
But
I'm in the room.
Thank you. Thank you
At
for
least-
everyone who's joined, either replay, on live, dropped in and out, taken part, just watched in the background. Whoever you are,
Thank you, Jay.
massive thank you.
Yeah.
Just
you,
keep
Jay.
expressing gratitude for what you have, what you're going to have, what you've had, all of it. Express gratitude. Share anything on social that just makes your heart sing. I see so much from Claire that just makes my day. It's brilliant, just so random, and I'm just like, yes. And just remember, you don't need more hours in your day. You just need more intention in your hours.
Yes.
You can't have more hours. You have all there is. It's what you do with them that makes the difference.
Wow.
Yeah,
So yeah,
absolutely.
if today is inspired, please feel free to get connected. Anyone who dropped in on the Zoom link, I will give you the option to add on to my subscription for my newsletter as well. And yeah, just keep being you. You don't need permission to be you. You are you. So do what works for you. And
Thank
have
you,
a great
Jay.
rest of your day.
Thank you.
Cheers. Bye.
Is it
Okay.
finished?
Go on.
Good. I didn't dare leave then. I was thinking I should leave, but because you were doing the final bit, I thought, oh, it's going to look bad on the video if I just disappear off.
We've got little
Oh,
on
don't
as
panic. I'm
well.
stopping the end streams. That's it.
Amazing. Thank you, Jay. That was fantastic.